And welcome. Here we are. We are talking about how to be a presenter in this session. That's a very quick little session. It might be 10 or 15 minutes. It might be a little bit longer, but listen, it's not about how long it is. It's about the quality, right? That's always the thing to keep in mind. My name's Graham. I'm from Blue Beetle People Solutions. And although we work in a number of different what might be called soft skills spaces. So we work extensively with leadership teams. We work at all different levels, from graduates and apprentices right the way up to the board. We work in leadership, we work in coaching, mentoring, we work in how to have difficult conversations at work, all the good stuff. But the one key skill that people most often ask about of all the courses that we deliver, and it always shows up at some point in any sort of leadership program, is how do you or how can you present better? And it's worth taking a moment just to consider what we mean by presenter and to present in a presentation. So first of all, a presentation is not your PowerPoint deck. Other providers are available, I know, but it's not that. And so many times I hear people say, I'm working on my presentation. And what they actually mean is they're sat there trying to pick the perfect shade of blue for their opening slide. And I have what might be some breaking news for you. Sorry, I need to put glasses on in order to read what's going on the screen. Good grief. How depressing is that? There we go. We're all good. And I have some breaking news for you, which is that nobody but nobody in the history of the world ever came out of a presentation determined, motivated to make a change based on the quality of the font in the slides. Now, I'm not being flippant. What I would like you to understand, and I share this idea, for example, when we talk to senior teams about storytelling for business, it's not about the slides. It's not about the font. It's not about the color. That is just something that helps you. Now, to almost help the point here, I'm only using 3 slides in this presentation. This is a very short presentation, and it's a very simple idea. But I'm only going to use 3 slides because I want you to understand a key idea. I do have the perfect shade of blue behind me, Richard. Thank you for spotting that. So the presentation, it's not the slides. The presentation is not the written words. It's none of the external stuff. It's you. And by a presenter, again, I mean you. Now, if you are very, very new to this, if you're thinking, I've just got a new management job or a new supervisory role, I need to stand up and say a few words occasionally. I need to speak at the conference. I've been given the opportunity to speak for 20 minutes to the whole organization. Perhaps you've taken over a new part of the business and you want to get everybody together and lay out your plan. What about your personal life? Maybe you occasionally, in your hobby, whatever it is you like to do, want to stand up and say a few words. Now, just to cover all those eventualities, I'm going to use the phrasing presenter and presentation. And even if you think that is a little bit highfalutin, it's a little bit grand for what you do, I'd like to make a bit of a personal adjustment. And the personal adjustment is this. Presentation skills are skills you can learn. There is no dark art to this. When I started in this space, and I started in this space more than 3 decades ago, Blue Beetle's been around for 27 years, and I started doing this kind of work 3-4 years before that. And there's a recurrent theme whenever I talk to people about how to present better. And this is, by the way, walking onto a stage, standing up by your desk in front of people, standing up in the workshop, or increasingly, of course, switching a camera on. Whenever I spoke about that, there would always be somebody who would go, yeah, but it's different for you. Well, what do you mean it's different for me? Well, you know, I'm not like you. You like doing this sort of thing. This is just the way you are. Well, I hate to break it to you. Me, normal me, everyday me doesn't walk around with a camera and 3 sets of lights and a slide deck and a microphone and a load of other stuff. Normal me does my stuff, my day-to-day work, just the same as everybody else does. So then the next line of defense is always, yeah, but my presentations are boring. The stuff you talk about is more interesting. Again, There might be a degree of truth in that, but largely that's down to the sort of work, the sort of content, and the way in which you decide to put your information across. I need you to understand something. If you want to be more compelling talking to your team, your boss, to your stakeholders, to your customer, your clients, whoever it is, wherever you have to gather 2 or 3 together and speak to them, you need to consider that this is a set of skills that you need to improve if you don't already have them. Now, there is no such thing, or a very rare, of a natural presenter. So those people that tell you they rock up and wing it, I will tell you this. Most of the time, those people who rock up and wing it, either they're lying, sorry to break that to you, or they've got considerably more experience in the past, in their history, than they are letting on. I can absolutely appear to rock up and wing it, but I've got an enormous back catalogue of similar experiences. So I have lots of bits to draw upon. The vast majority of us, if we want to be better presenters and give better presentations, we're going to need to put some work and effort into it. Now, the good news is that what I'm going to share with you in this session is so ridiculously simple. Once you get it, it will improve your presentation almost immediately. Now, all the other stuff, handling difficult audiences, handling audiences just sit there glaring at you, all the tech issues that happen when you're presenting, forgetting your words, wondering what to do about should you stand here, or where should you look? Should you look there at the camera or down there at the screen? What should you do? How to start your presentation, how to stop, what to put in the middle, how to handle questions. All of the stuff that people want to know about presentation skills, we teach all of that. But what I'm going to share with you now is actually, we might call it, I guess, the secret of presenting, which makes it sound very, very grand. I can tell you now, it's not really grand, but it is a big idea. My work is boring excuse. Is that an excuse? Everything from what the head of Paperclips does can be rendered interesting. Richard, I'm so glad you make that point. By the way, if you're watching a record of this, you don't have the opportunity to put your comments in. I always like it when people throw comments and questions in. You're absolutely right, Richard. I speak to very senior people all the time who say, oh, I've got to follow so-and-so. Oh, my bit's this, my bit's this. What you need to understand is that your bit of presentation potentially has just as much buy-in and excitement and engagement as anybody else's on the menu for that day. So what is the big secret? I'm going to tell you the big secret. And the big secret is, depending on how you want to see it, it's possibly a bit anticlimactic, or it could be so simple that when you get it, when it clicks, you go, huh, that's interesting. And once you do get this, then you can absolutely become a stronger and better presenter. You see, most people, when I am working with them on presentation skills, struggle with one key idea. They don't really know what they look or sound like. What you've got to do if you want to be a better presenter, even if you don't want all the cool stuff that I teach on full sessions, what you've got to do is to learn to be yourself. Now, that is not just an anodyne phrase, but I want you to come across a couple of ideas here. Let us say that you and I both speak at the same event. We're going to speak the next day as well. And the organizer gives you and I the opportunity to sit down with a piece of video and watch what we did. Now, I don't know you, but statistically, most people, given the opportunity to sit and watch themselves, will absolutely curl up and die a death of 1,000 embarrassments. Now, on the other hand, I can sit and watch myself all day long. And I'm not just kidding around when I say that. I know what I look like. And this is the idea that is either so simple and genius and brilliant that once you get it, you can improve your presentations now. All the other stuff is still there if you want to do it, but this single thing will improve your presentations now, or you can roll your eyes and go, clickbait. Entirely up to you. But let me give you some examples of what I mean. I know what I look like. Excuse me. I know what I look like. I know that I like waving my hands around. I know what my eyes look like. I know how my mouth moves when I talk. I know about the bits of gray there. I know that my chin and this is not quite as defined as I'd like it to be. I know I've got a little bit of a belly going on. I know I've got short legs, big feet. I know that if I'm left to my own devices, I walk a little bit like a great ape across a conference stage. I know all of those things. Even though I flatter myself, my accent is quite neutral, and I think I've got quite a nice speaking voice. I know that little bits of West Midlands in my accent sometimes comes through. Now, what is the value of me knowing all of that? Because when I sit and watch a video of me presenting, I already know all that stuff. So I'm not watching it like this. And I can tell you, most people, if you sit down and go, let's look at your presentation, let's look at how you did, let's get into this. Most people will be watching it through kind of fingers across the eyes because it's too awful. Now, it's not about being perfect. It's absolutely not about being perfect. It's not about having some misguided idea of yourself. In fact, it's the direct opposite. You have to become absolutely conscious of what you look, sound, and move like. Because once you do, once you know those things, then you can start to work on everything else. You see, I need you to understand this. Your accent, as it stands now today, is fine. Your face, your gestures, the little strange phrases you use, whether you are big on comedy or you're a little bit serious, whether you come across as a bit of a starer, whether you look a little bit light and airy with how you deliver stuff, whether you deliver information with a solid newscaster's style, it literally doesn't matter because, listen, how you are as an adult, you have learned so far, and it's got you on this far in life. And there may be things you're not totally happy about. We'll come back to those in a moment. By and large, you know how to do stuff that adults have to do that gets you through the world, right? You know how to talk to people, you know how to be funny, you know how to be charming, you know when to be quiet, you know how to listen, you know how to look concerned, sad, cross, angry, the whole gamut of human stuff. So what happens when people get on conference stages? What happens when they stand up in front of 10 or 15 of their colleagues? What happens when they turn on a camera? It all goes out the window. Because all of a sudden, you become massively conscious of all those little imperfections. Now, that list of things I gave you, by the way, just now about me, they're all little imperfections. They're all things that actually I'd like to change. But I haven't changed them yet, and I know what they are. So if you and I both present and we both have the opportunity to watch a video of ourselves in preparation for the following day, I will take that opportunity because I already know that stuff. So what I'm able to do is to focus on what I want to improve. I can see where maybe the energy drops. I can see where perhaps I thought I was being charming, but actually I looked a bit snappy with somebody. I can see, for example, that I didn't explain something properly. I can understand that so I can make improvements. And that will very rapidly mean I can improve faster, quicker, and better than you if you refuse to watch that video yourself. I'd like you to understand something. There is nothing remotely natural about being a presenter or presenting. If you are in a room, you are the only person facing the wrong way. Everybody else is looking at you. You're looking at them. You've got a microphone on, perhaps. You have additional lights on you. You have additional tech requirements where you have to press the clicker. There are certain places you're allowed to stand and certain places you're not because of feedback on the sound. You might have one of those ridiculous podiums that MPs love to stand behind. There will be people on the front row, even though they would never do this on a one-to-one basis, sat back coolly appraising you, glaring at you if they really don't like you or your message, rolling their eyes, chatting with each other. Some of them will even get their phones out and text whilst you're talking to them. There is nothing remotely natural about presenting. It is a set of skills like literally anything else you have to do at work. And if you are rubbish at Excel, you can't keep saying to your boss, oh, I was not very good at it, I'll rock up and wing it. Will you? You're not going to say that. You're going to figure out how to get better at Excel, or you're going to do a deal with somebody else for them to make Excels for you, or you're going to put yourself on a course, or you're going to solve it, right? You cannot, as a salesperson, say, well, I'm great with building rapport. I'm ever so good with the explanation, but yeah, asking for the order, it's just not me. You can't do that. You'd be a rubbish salesperson. It is exactly the same. If you need to present, if you have now got a promotion, you're about to get a promotion, if you have the opportunity to build your profile and speak at an exhibition or at a conference, something for work, if you have the chance to speak to the board, any of these are great profile builders. They are part of your professional armory. So being a presenter is nothing highfalutin. It's no gift from above. It is a set of skills like everything else you can learn. But before you learn all of those skills, I want you to have this one key idea in mind. Who you are is fine. The way you walk and talk and everything about you is perfectly acceptable. Now, when you see yourself on video and you cover your eyes, you go, oh my goodness, listen to the state of that. Oh no, that's awful. All you're doing is catching up with what everybody else sees. And they're so used to it, they no longer see it. You have to get yourself to that level of conscious awareness of your style. And that pretty much brings me towards the close of today's session. I said it was a very short session and very succinct and very to the point. I will take any other questions. I don't know how many people we have watching this live, but let me just bring all of those ideas together for you. So this video will be available on my YouTube, and I think it'll be available on LinkedIn as well. The key idea, the key concept that I would like you to grasp, and it is an important one. So many people fail to do this. How you are and who you are and what you are is absolutely fine. Don't even stress about it. First of all, get used to that. Get used to accepting that. You're looking for this, and I've used that phrase there, a conscious version of you. So you want to be able to know what you look and sound like. Now, once you've got that, once you're comfortable watching the replay of the video, once you're comfortable knowing how you talk and all the other stuff, then you can start to make the changes. What most people do is they do it the wrong way around. They say things like, well, as a presenter, you ought to stand with your feet in this way and you should not move your arms too much. You should try and talk with authority. You should look over here and look over here and look over here. And it's just ridiculous. It's too much imposed upon you. Your best bet is to learn how to be you in front of other people. And once you can do that, then you can learn to be a better version of you. Then you can learn to drop massive pauses in the middle of the presentation if you need to. You can learn to ask better questions. You can learn to remember to smile if perhaps you have discovered that you look a bit serious a lot of the time. You've learned to stop doing stupid jokes. You've learned to use your hands or not use your hands. All of those things can come after this key idea. Learn to be yourself. So I see no questions coming up. So thank you ever so much for being here if you've watched this live. I appreciate you being here if you've just watched the re-record, and I will see you soon. You want to look us up on Blue Beetle, you'll find us on LinkedIn. My name's Graham David, and Graham David, Blue Beetle, you'll pretty much find me. I'll be very happy to answer your questions or indeed to help you understand how you or your colleagues could be better presenters in your work. Cheers, Richard. Thank you very much for that last comment. I will see you all soon.